So I kind of had a different first year of college because the second semester was pretty much just at home again, right? So I mean, I got like that first semester of like the full college experience. Then after that, it was like, okay, back at home. I hope you liked the trial. And that was pretty much it.
I think if I kind of knew what was going to happen with the pandemic when I applied for grad school, I probably wouldn't have went.
I think COVID-19 has absolutely affected my transition from high school to college. Starting from, I didn't get a high school graduation really. And then going into college, it's very limited on what we could do.
If you're at home, not at college, you can't really have the college experience, right? Because you actually have to be in college to have that experience. If I'm just on my computer at home doing classes, I'm just learning, and who wants to do that?
No, I don't think I'm getting a full college experience despite COVID-19. Because then relating it back to the friends, there's not really many people to hang out with, especially people that have seen the bottom half of my face.
Very stressful when COVID first started, a lot of uncertainty, and I was very, very busy during that time period. So then kind of getting back into school after 2 years off was just kind of a lot. And then I actually made a career change in November. So, all things said, I probably would not have made that same move without the pandemic in a sense. So I do think that the pandemic has definitely added more stress on top of the grad school experience. And I think also, you kind of have thoughts in your head about, I'm graduating December, it doesn't look like this is going away. Like, what effects does this really have on the economy? And how's that going to impact me when I start searching for jobs that relate to my degree?
I lost a lot of my independence that I had gained from going to college because after COVID started, you're just back at home again. So it just feels like it's like summer school again, and then you hit the summer and then you got to find something else to do, but you can't really do anything because COVID's there, right? So I would say that, COVID still does not help with your independence after you've just broke away from the nest.
There is no replacement for person-to-person physical space together. That can't be replicated on Zoom. That can't be replicated in that way from a biological standpoint of human connection. And it's something that I imagine most of our clients would still want to have the in-person option in the future, of course, naturally too.
You don't have an actual in-person instruction, so you can't fully digest all the information. You kind of have to take it on while you're doing it by yourself, and the professors are adjusting to it too, so they don't know exactly how to teach you in a way, and people just don't. So I didn't show up in any of the Zoom stuff because I just feel like it's not useful, because half the time the professors are just having technical difficulties or something, or they're just falling asleep behind the camera because it's just a camera. It's hard to play off of a camera.
So with having to adjust to a pandemic and giving instruction to students in a different way this past year, I feel like most of professors and school administration handled the changes to the best of their knowledge. There obviously wasn't a perfect fix to how they could address students' needs 100%, especially with a lot of the unknown and uncertainty of what else could change with the pandemic.
I taught a mix of methods. I taught a couple of classes that were purely online. And because of the nature of those classes, one was lecture and one was an editing class, they were pretty straightforward, and online worked pretty well for that. I taught 4 classes, I think, kind of hybrid mode, where some of the stuff was online, some of the material was online. And then I also taught in person. And with the in-person part, I would teach half the class one day and the other half the class the other day. I would say that I think it met with mixed results. It was challenging to connect and keep up with the students. It just wasn't as easy to keep an ongoing connection to the students, making sure that I was in touch with what they were doing and knew what they needed.
I do think that mental health issues and addressing it have been at an all-time high in the last year, and I do feel like moving forward there should still be an emphasis on how we can support people who are struggling with mental health and how we can give them the tools to continue to adapt to all the changes that may happen, because there still are a lot of things with this pandemic that are unknown and uncertain. So I feel like mental health will still need to be on the radar as much as ever.
We meet the emotional dimension, mindfulness, self-worth, and coping, which we were a part of creating those three aspects of the emotional dimension. So they do fall right in line with what we do. And through outreach programming, we have a variety of different workshops, weekly offerings. We do weekly meditations, so to speak to that mindfulness. Our Waves of Wellness series, workshop series, is once a week, and that speaks to, they're all focused on a different aspect of coping and different practices. So gratitude practice, for instance, Zenden is teaching a variety of mindfulness skills. We have different workshops that focus on skills in managing anxiety or stress or managing your mood. So they're all focused on learning so it goes into that coping and increasing self-worth by feeling more self-efficacious in what you can manage regarding your mental health. That's in addition to the fact that, of course, we do therapy, which therapy can be incredibly helpful in all three of those areas, and the emotional dimension as a whole. Outreach is just one that anybody can access. You don't have to be a client of the center to get that. So both of those are incredibly rewarding and things naturally that our department does to meet that emotional dimension.
Moving forward, I think that educators and professors should allow that space to their students to acknowledge that they may be struggling with some things, and to remove the stigma with mental health concerns and mental health issues. Professors can normalize it and kind of address it up front as a whole in the class, and just have that space to let their students know that if they are struggling, that, you know, there are people in place to support them, and, you know, just open that dialogue to their students and asking what they would need from their students in a time of, you know, mental health crises or mental health concern.
Self-reflective and a thinking professor needs to take into account whatever everybody is going through. And it creates a difficult situation. It really does, because on the one hand, we need to have standards. We can't just say, oh, COVID, everybody gets an A, because not everybody earned an A. So that's a challenge as a teacher. It's like, I want to hold high standards, which I think I'm doing, but I also want to be empathetic. And I think there are different ways of doing that. For example, I was very flexible with due dates this term, because I just knew people were having a difficult time. So I was less concerned about, yes, I set the due date at Wednesday at midnight. It needs to be in by Wednesday at midnight. I left the projects open for another 2 or 3 days, or even 4 or 5 days. And if students were willing to turn it in a week later or later in the semester, I tended to be pretty flexible with that. And I think that's one way, is being flexible.
So I think a lot of people have this perception of, when we hear self-care, I think social media has had a really big impact on our generation about what self-care is and what it isn't. And as I get older and am having more experiences, self-care is not about, you know, doing a face mask or having a glass of wine. It is about really taking the time to figure out what you're doing with your life that makes you happy or feel a certain way, or really digging deep into what is maybe giving you triggers in your life, and working through those things and being emotionally conscious about yourself and others. And that is kind of what makes you you.
Emotional and spiritual well-being refers to the connection that people have with their own emotions and how they can express them. Same with, with their spiritual ways of life and how they are able to express and connect with those aspects of their lives. Some best practices to address emotional and spiritual well-being. A lot of people are aware of meditation and kind of have their own view of what meditation is.
Meditation is incredibly helpful. We need to have that downtime in terms of letting our body relax, in terms of letting our body be present with what is, and really learning that power of, there's a famous quote by Dr. Viktor Frankl around, there's always a stimulus and a response, and in between the stimulus and response is space, and in that space is our power. And that's what mindfulness and meditation can give us, is that ability to sit in this space before we respond.
I really like art. Just I like drawing. Recently I've been drawing more digitally. So I draw like every day, because some days I just don't talk to people other than my family. So I draw and I listen to music, basically.
By finding things that I enjoy and leaving time in the day to do them. And also because of COVID, and because you're having to block your own time in, because like now it's not like you go to class for a certain amount of time. It's just like, okay, do this work. So you have to like schedule yourself, right? So usually what I do is I have like every hour, it's like 50 minutes straight work. And then for that 10 minutes, I might pick up a book. I might read a few pages, and then I'll put it down after 10 minutes, and then I'll get right back into it.
I guess I practice self-care and mindfulness by bicycling, by playing tennis. I have a nice backyard, so that it's a very relaxing place. So I can sit on my porch and look into the woods and stare at my pool. We have a pool, and so I didn't go swimming in it, but the water and the trees that are back there gave me a sense of calm. So going for walks, getting out in nature, getting away from screens was a way for me to do that. And I don't think I was great at it. I'm going to get involved in some of these apps that help encourage mindfulness. I don't think I did enough meditation, and I think I need to incorporate that into my routine.
Hello, I'm Laura Siljander. I'm an instructor at UNCW, and I'm going to be leading you through a self-compassion exercise. So Jack Kornfield, a big Buddhist teacher, says if your compassion doesn't incorporate yourself, it's incomplete. So today, let's kind of focus on bringing compassion to us. It's okay to be a little selfish sometimes. So for this exercise, go ahead and either sit up nice and tall. If you're sitting in a chair like me, you can press your back against the back of the chair. If you prefer, you can slide forward and plant your feet solidly on the ground. So you decide. Another option here is to lower your shoulders down and lower your gaze down. And if you feel okay, you can close your eyes. From here, start to maybe notice how it feels to just sit and be rather than sit and do. Typically, we're caught up in our human doing and we're not really human being. So just embrace that for a moment. If you'd like, maybe start to deepen your breath. Bring your tongue from the top of the mouth to the bottom of the mouth. Maybe soften that space in between your eyebrows. Imagining your shoulders becoming heavy and your pelvis to anchor into the chair. From here, notice where you placed your hands, intentionally deciding whether to move them or to make them more comfortable, or to leave them where they're at. Continue with your deep breathing. And from here, imagine in your mind's eye that you're in the shower and you turn on the faucets. And then the shower water starts at your head. And you can feel the warmth and the wetness roll down your body. Imagine it not being water, but compassion. You're turning on a shower of compassion, of self-acceptance, self-love, strength, stamina, kindness. Rolling down from your head, all the way down your arms and legs to your toes. Imagine the warmth and the steam is again patience, perseverance, and radical acceptance of exactly where you are at this moment. From here, if you'd like, you can place your hands over your heart or your chest space, or just leave your hands exactly where they're at. Imagine you step out of your shower and you start to towel off. You get changed. And now imagine yourself in your mind's eye after your compassion shower. View yourself as if a friend or a loved one was viewing you, not with a critical eye, but with a loving eye. If you'd like, you can repeat these phrases after me, imagining yourself in your mind's eye when you say them. So repeat after me in your head or out loud. May I be well. Take a deep breath. May I be happy. Take a deep breath. May I be healthy. Take a deep breath. Let's repeat them once more. May I be well. Breath cycle. May I be happy. May I be healthy. Take 3 deep breaths here. From here, you can bring your hands to your lap, open up the eyes, allow the gaze to come up, and I hope you enjoyed this exercise. Namaste.